Every culture has its own myths and legends, stories that have been passed down for generations, shaping their worldview and explaining the world around them. These tales often feature larger-than-life heroes, terrifying monsters, and epic battles between good and evil. But they also explore universal themes that resonate with us even today, such as fate, gods and humanity, power and corruption, love and loss. Hello, and welcome to Legends of the Eternal Flame. I am your host. Every episode, we will dive deep into one mythology or folklore from around the world, retelling it with cinematic intensity, vivid descriptions, and a touch of modern sensibilities. Join me as we embark on a thrilling journey through the realm of mythology and folklore. Let's dive into our first episode, the Rain Queen. Our story opens in the heart of South Africa in the Limpopo province, where we meet the Balabudu people, a community deeply connected to their land and its bounty. Their kingdom is blessed with fertile soil and abundant wildlife, all thanks to their beloved queen, Majaji, is known as the Rain Queen. For many years, her rule has brought prosperity and happiness to her people. But now, a terrible drought threatens everything. Crops are failing, animals are dying, and people are starting to despair. In this time of crisis, the villagers turn to their queen, hoping she can save them from the disaster. They make the long and arduous climb up the mountain to her royal residence, where they plead with her to use her powers and end the drought. Their pleas fall on deaf ears though. Majaji is reluctant to use her powers. She knows that her gift comes at a great cost, and she wants to preserve her strength for when it is truly needed. But as the drought drags on and the people's faith in her begins to waver, she realizes she must act. So the Rain Queen prepares for her mystical ritual. She takes a clay pot filled with water from the sacred pool in her courtyard and climbs to the highest peak of the mountain. There, she stands tall and raises her arms towards the heavens, calling upon the ancestors for help. As she chants ancient incantations, the wind picks up, clouds gather, and a mighty storm breaks over the parched lands. The people in the village below erupt in cheers. They watch as the rain falls and quenches the thirsty earth, bringing new life to the land. But their joy is short-lived. For with each drop of rain that falls from the sky, a part of the Rain Queen's life force ebbs away. You see, Majaji's gift is both a blessing and a curse. She possesses the power to control the weather, but doing so drains her of her vitality. Now, weakened by the drought and the recent storm, the Rain Queen returns to the palace. She is no longer the vibrant, energetic ruler she once was. Her body is frail and she needs rest. But she is not alone in her struggle. The drought has affected everyone in the kingdom, including her sister Mantatisi, who is jealous of her powers. While Majaji is recuperating, Mantatisi takes it upon herself to learn the secret of the Rain Queen's powers. She wants to know how her sister controls the weather and what she uses to call upon the ancestors. Armed with this knowledge, Mantatisi believes she would become a powerful leader and the people would praise her as a goddess. So she sneaks into the royal chambers while Majaji is sleeping in Rum family secret. She finds a small wooden box hidden under the bed and takes it to her own chambers. There, she studies the box, trying to figure out how to open it. After several attempts, she finally succeeds and discovers a collection of strange-looking seeds inside. Mantatisi has no idea what these seeds are or what they could possibly do, but she is determined to find out. She calls for her most trusted advisors and confidants, two men named Mapule and Ramaboya, and shows them the seeds. Together, they had to plan. Mantatisi will keep the box and the secret of the Rain Queen's powers to herself for now. She will wait until her sister has fully recovered and then challenge her to a contest. If Majaji refuses to participate, Mantatisi will expose her sister's weakness and take the throne. But if Majaji accepts the challenge and loses, Mantatisi will claim the powers for herself. Meanwhile, Majaji is unaware of her sister's schemes. She spends her days resting and recovering, knowing that her people need her to be strong. She has no idea that her power is being threatened, let alone by her own sister. Finally, after weeks of rest, Majaji feels like she is back to her old self. She is strong, healthy, and ready to rule again. She is soon called to the royal court where Manatisi confronts her with the box and announces her plan. Kanti challenges Majaji to a contest where the winner will claim the box and its secrets. Majaji is shocked. She never could have imagined that her own sister would betray her in such a way. But she is a strong and graceful leader, and she accepts the challenge. The two sisters face off in a series of tests, each designed to push the other to their limits. They compete in archery, wrestling, and hunting, with each sister determined to outdo the other. The stakes are high, and the competition is fierce. But as the games go on, it becomes clear that Manatisi is only interested in winning at any cost. Meanwhile, Majaji is torn. She wants to win the contest and protect her people, but she doesn't want to hurt her sister. However, she refuses to let Manatisi destroy her kingdom, so she gathers her strength and fights back. The two sisters battle it out in the final test, and it is clear that neither one will back down. As the fight reaches its climax, Manatisi taunts Majaji, trying to distract her and gain the upper hand. But Majaji remains focused. She fights with the grace and power of a lioness, protecting her home and her people. In the end, it is Majaji who prevails, defeating her sister and reclaiming the box. But instead of punishing her sister, she shows mercy and offers her a chance to join her in protecting their people. However, Manatisi refuses, realizing too late the error of her ways. In a fit of anger and jealousy, she curses her sister, vowing to take her powers away, even if it means destroying the kingdom. As she unleashes her dark magic, the sky cracks open and a bolt of lightning strikes the ground, splitting the earth and sending shockwaves throughout the land. Manatisi's spell is incredibly powerful, and it is clear that something terrible is happening. The people in the village below watch in horror as the sky turns a deep shade of red and the air grows heavy with the smell of ozone. The earth trembles beneath their feet, and they can hear the roar of the storm as it builds. They have never seen anything like it before, and they are terrified of what might happen next. Majaji realizes that her sister's curse is causing the very sky to split apart, and she knows that she must act fast to stop it. She gathers all of her strength and channels it into a final, desperate effort to protect her people. The Rain Queen takes a deep breath and calls upon the ancestors one last time. She asks them for help, begging them to protect her people from the coming storm. As she chants, the air around her begins to glow, and the light grows brighter and brighter until it is blinding. The people in the village below shield their eyes from the glare, and when they look up, they see a sight that takes their breath away. The sky is filled with light, and the clouds are parting to reveal the stars. The storm that had been building is gone, replaced by a clear, starry night. And in the distance, they can hear the sound of thunderous applause. Majaji's sacrifice has saved her people. She may be gone, but her legacy will live on in the hearts of her people forever. The Rain Queen has given her life to protect her people, but her sacrifice has paid off. The kingdom is safe, and the people are grateful. They remember her courage and her selflessness, and they tell stories of her bravery for generations to come. And though the kingdom may change and evolve over time, the memory of the Rain Queen will remain. A reminder of the power of love, sacrifice, and the bond between humans and nature. So that brings us to the end of our first episode. What did you think? Which character was your favorite? Would you like to hear more about African mythology? Let us know in the comments. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we can't wait to bring you more exciting myths and legends from around the world. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of mythology. This is episode 2 of Legends of the Eternal Flame. This series takes you around the world to experience the most terrifying, intriguing, and captivating mythology and folklore each week. So grab some popcorn, get comfortable, and let the stories begin. In the olden times in West Africa, specifically Ghana, there lived a spider named Anansi. Now this was no ordinary spider. Oh no, this was a trickster spider who could take human form, and he loved messing with people. One day, Anansi decided that he wanted to steal stories from Nyang, sky god. Now, to earn these stories, he had to capture 3 dangerous creatures: the python, the leopard, and the hornets. And then he would take their stories and weave them into his own web, so that whoever entered his web would be trapped forever. Now, Anansi was very clever, but he was not strong, so he had to trick the animals instead of fighting them. He pretended to be a nice little spider who just wanted to chat. And when the animals got close enough, he would jump on them and capture them. He did this to the python, the leopard, and the hornets. After capturing all 3 beasts, Anansi took their stories and wove them into his web. And the stories were so captivating that anyone who heard them would become trapped in Anansi's web forever. And Anansi sat in the middle of his web, trapping all of humanity in his sticky little prison. But our story doesn't end there. Oh no, there's more, much more. You see, after Anansi had trapped humanity in his web, he became very bored. He had all these stories, but he had no one to tell them to. So he decided to go find a new audience. As he was walking through the forest, he came across a little girl who was sitting on a tree stump. "Hey, little girl," said Anansi, "why don't you come listen to my stories?" The girl looked up at Anansi and smiled. "I would love to hear your stories, Mr. Spider, but I have to go home now. My mother will be worried." And with that, the girl ran off. Anansi sat on the stump where the girl had been sitting and waited. And soon enough, her mother came looking for her. "Oh, there you are," said the mother. "I was getting so worried." She hugged her daughter and then turned to Anansi. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Anansi, the spider who can tell stories that are so captivating they will trap you forever," he replied. The mother laughed. "That sounds like a tall tale. And I have no time for tall tales right now. I have to get home before my husband gets back." With that, she, too, ran off. Anansi sat on the stump again and waited. And soon enough, the girl's father came looking for her. "There you are," he said. "I was just about to send a search party after you." He, too, had a good laugh at Anansi's expense and ran off to catch up with his wife. Anansi sat on the stump and waited. And soon enough, the whole family came back. They all sat around the spider and listened intently as he told them the most captivating stories they had ever heard. They were so engrossed in the tales that they didn't notice the sun setting behind the trees or the darkness falling over the forest. When Anansi finished his stories, there was a heavy silence. The family looked around at each other and then burst into applause. "That was amazing," said the father. "Could you tell us another story, Mr. Spider?" "Of course," said Anansi, and he launched into another tale. Okay. And so the night wore on and the stories continued. And by the end of it, the entire family was trapped in Anansi's web. Now, here's where things get a little weird. You see, after trapping the family in his web, Anansi started to feel a little bad. He had tricked them into listening to his stories, and now they were stuck in his sticky little prison. So he decided to let them go. But as he was releasing them, he noticed something strange. The little girl wasn't scared of him at all. In fact, she seemed quite happy. "Why aren't you scared of me?" Anansi asked. "The spider who can trap you in my web forever. Why aren't you scared of me?" The girl looked up at Anansi and smiled. "'Cause I know you're not really scary, Mr. Spider. You're just a silly spider who likes to tell stories. And I like stories, so I'm not scared of you. I'm actually your biggest fan." Anansi was taken aback by the girl's words. He had never thought of himself as a storyteller before. had always just been the trickster spider who could trap people in his web. But maybe there was more to life than that. Maybe he could be a storyteller, a spider who tells stories. And with that thought in mind, Anansi waved his magic wand and poof, he disappeared. And that, my friends, is how Anansi, the trickster spider, became the master storyteller. Wait, no, that's not right. Let me start again. And that, my friends, is how Anansi, the trickster spider, became the master storyteller. And he lived happily ever after. The end. Except it's not the end, is it? 'Cause we're still here, aren't we? Still listening to his stories, okay? He may have trapped us in his web, but we're not his audience. We're his captives, okay? And we're not listening to his stories because we want to. We're listening to them because we have to. If we stop listening, we'll lose our minds. We'll forget who we are and what we were ever meant to be. Anansi has trapped us all in his web, and there's only one way to escape, to break the web. That's right, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you heard me. Break the web. Don't listen to his stories. Don't believe his lies. Don't fall for his tricks. Break the web and set yourself free. But be careful. Once you break the web, you might just find yourself lost in the darkness forever. Are you brave enough to risk it all? Are you willing to escape Anansi's web? Or are you content to live out your life as his captive? The choice, my friends, is yours. Thank you so much for watching. You enjoyed the video. Please be sure to hit the like button and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content. Until next time, stay safe and keep believing in the magic of stories. In the third episode of Legends of the Eternal Flame, we travel to China to hear the tale of the white snake. Long ago, in a time when gods walked among men, there lived a great snake spirit, Kay. She was so beautiful that when she shed her skin, the scales turned into pearls that could grant wishes. One day, she transformed herself into a lovely woman and went to visit the home of a kind woodcutter. She was so entranced by his pure heart that she decided to marry him. Now, unbeknownst to them, a jealous monk had been watching the snake princess, and he claimed that she was a demon who had stolen the woodcutter's heart. Though he loved his wife so dearly, when she took off her clothes and revealed her true form, the woodcutter was horrified and ran away. The snake spirit was heartbroken, but she soon became enraged. With a flick of her tail, she flooded an entire city and dragged her unfaithful lover to her watery grave. Then she brought him back to her lake, but it was too late. The woodcutter's heart had turned to stone. To save him from his fate, the snake spirit performed an ancient ritual that turned the woodcutter into a pillar of white jade. And every year, on the anniversary of their love, her tears would turn into pearls and wash up on the shore for him to wear. But the jealous monk was not done yet. He followed the snake spirit to her home and tried to smite her with his magical staff. But before he could do any harm, she wrapped him in her coils and crushed him like a grape. Then she coiled her body around the jade pillar and disappeared into thin air. Now, wherever the woodcutter goes, the snake spirit follows, though she can never touch him. And so their love was cursed to be eternal. Now, every year when the first spring rain falls, some of the snake spirit's tears melt away the jade and allow the woodcutter to feel her love once more. For a brief moment, they are human again. But when the sun rises, they turn back into a snake and a pillar of stone. And so their love was cursed to be eternal. Now, some say that this is just a silly fairy tale, but others claim that there is more to it than meets the eye. For if a god can transform into a woman and fall in love with a mortal, then who's to say that the same can't happen to us? And so the search for eternal love continues. from the frozen tundras of Siberia to the lush jungles of Borneo, across deserts and over mountains, through valleys and over plains, all in search of something that can never be possessed. So what is this thing called love? Is it worth sacrificing everything? Or is it worth giving up your immortality? For is it worth losing your humanity? For what is this thing called love? And so, the legend of the white snake reminds us that sometimes love can be cruel, but it's always worth fighting for. Okay guys, thanks for watching episode 3 of Legends of the Eternal Flame. If you enjoyed this episode, okay, please leave a like or a comment down below. What did you think of the story? Do you believe in love at first sight? Let us know in the comments. If you're new here, subscribe and join our family. We have lots of new episodes coming up, including the next chapter in this series, where we'll dive into the terrifying myth of the Monkey King. Don't miss out. Click here to watch episode 1 now. Till next time, remember, some love stories are meant to be told by the firelight. So gather round, my friends, and let the legends begin. You are listening to Legends of the Eternal Flame. In the heart of Scandinavia, where the land meets the sea and the mountains touch the sky, there lived a powerful god named Odin. He was the god of wisdom, magic, and death, a king, and he was always seeking new knowledge and understanding. But one day, Odin heard about a prophecy that foretold the end of the world, and he became obsessed with finding a way to prevent it. So he went to the Norns, the 3 female figures who controlled the fate of men and gods, and he asked them if there was anything he could do to change the course of destiny. The Norns told Odin that he could prevent Ragnarok, the end of the world, but it would come at a great cost. He would have to sacrifice everything he had, his power, his possessions, and even his sight. Okay, but Odin was desperate to save his people, and he was willing to pay the price. So the Norns led Odin to a giant ash tree called Yggdrasil, the tree of life, which connected the 9 worlds of Norse mythology. And they told him to hang himself from its branches for 9 nights, pierced by his own spear, without food or drink. And on the 9th night, the runes, the ancient symbols of power, would reveal themselves to him, and he would gain the wisdom he sought. Okay. But as the days passed, Odin began to regret his decision. He was tormented by visions of Ragnarok and the endless war that would follow, and he longed to give up, but he knew he had to stay. Finally, on the 9th night, as Odin's strength was about to fail him, the runes glowed in the bark of the tree, and Odin fell to the ground below. And when he opened his eyes, he saw the world around him in a new way. He had become the All-Father, the supreme leader of the gods, and with his newfound wisdom, he knew that Ragnarok was inevitable. But he also knew that his people would survive and that their culture would endure. But the price of his sacrifice was heavy. His eyes were forever haunted by the doom that lay ahead. And so Odin, the once all-seeing god, became blind to the future, yet wiser than ever before. So remember, friends, the greatest wisdom often comes at the greatest cost, and the bravest sacrifices are those made for love. And now we must bid farewell to Odin and the other gods of Norse mythology. But fear not, for their adventures live on in the hearts and minds of those who tell their stories. And who knows what other legends we might uncover in our travels. So join us next time as we continue our journey around the world in search of the greatest myths and tales that have stood the test of time. For now, take care, and may the gods be with you. As we wrap up another exciting episode, we want to extend a huge thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey through the realm of Norse mythology. If you've been on the edge of your seat, eager to uncover the secrets of the past, then we have a special treat for you. Our team has been hard at work, unearthing even more captivating tales from the distant past. But we need your help to bring these stories to life. If you're as passionate about history as we are, then consider supporting us. Your support will help us to continue our work and share these amazing discoveries with even more people. Together, we can keep these ancient traditions alive and ensure that future generations can learn about the fascinating world of our ancestors. So if you're ready to join us on this incredible adventure, click the link below and become a supporter today. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be part of something truly special. Now, back to our video. In the depths of despair, Odin contemplated ending his mission, but the thought of his people's suffering spurred him on. He refused to abandon them, even if it meant sacrificing his own happiness. With renewed determination, Odin continued his vigil on the tree, enduring hunger, thirst, and the taunts of the serpent. Finally, after 9 long nights, the runes appeared, bathing the tree in their ethereal glow. As Odin reached out to grasp them, a jolt of energy surged through him, filling him with immense power and knowledge. In that moment, Odin realized the true meaning of sacrifice. It wasn't just about giving up something valuable, it was about gaining something even greater, wisdom. With his newfound understanding, Odin could now guide his people through the challenges ahead, protecting them from harm and leading them towards a brighter future. Meanwhile, Loki, sensing Odin's imminent success, grew furious. He couldn't bear the thought that Odin would achieve his goal and usurp his own position. Consumed by jealousy, Loki hatched a sinister plan to disrupt Odin's sacrifice and seize the runes for himself. Under the cover of darkness, Loki slithered through the forest, approaching the ash tree where Odin hung. With a mischievous grin, he reached out to pluck the runes from Odin's grasp. But as his fingers brushed against them, a surge of energy jolted through his body. Startled by the sudden reaction, Loki stumbled back, realizing that the runes were not an object he could simply take and use. They were an integral part of the tree, infused with its ancient power. As Loki pondered his next move, Odin opened his eyes, sensing the disturbance caused by the serpent. With a surge of newfound wisdom and power, Odin confronted Loki, demanding that he release the runes and leave him alone. But Loki, driven by his insatiable greed, refused to back down. He challenged Odin to a battle of wits, claiming that he, Loki, was worthy of the runes and the power they possessed. The two gods engaged in a fierce battle, their powers clashing in a dazzling display of magic and mayhem. Odin, drawing upon the wisdom he had gained from the runes, devised cunning strategies and unleashed bolts of lightning that crackled through the forest. Loki, with his shape-shifting abilities and mastery over trickery, dodged the attacks and retaliated with venomous spells that sought to weaken Odin's resolve. As the battle raged on, the fate of the Norse pantheon hung in the balance. The other gods and goddesses watched anxiously, knowing that the outcome of this conflict would have far-reaching consequences for all of them. They could not intervene directly, for the rules of their world forbade any interference in matters of personal ambition. Yet they prayed that Odin would prevail, hoping that his wisdom and power would guide him to victory. But who will come out on top in this epic showdown? Will Odin's wisdom prevail, or will Loki's cunning and greed lead him to the ultimate prize? Stay tuned to find out. And don't forget to show your support. Together, we can keep these ancient traditions alive and ensure that future generations can learn about the fascinating world of our ancestors. Click the link below to become a supporter today. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through time. Until next time, may the wisdom of Odin guide you, and may the spirit of adventure keep you ever curious. Hi everyone, this is an episode of Legends of the Eternal Flame, and this episode is called Amaterasu in the Cave. Once upon a time, there was a mighty storm god by the name of Susanoo, who was known for his powerful temper. He would often go on destructive rampages, destroying villages and causing all sorts of chaos. One day, he decided that he wanted to visit his sister, the sun goddess Amaterasu. Now, Amaterasu had heard tales of her brother's destructive nature. She was exactly looking forward to his visit. But since he was her brother, she welcomed him into her home and tried to make the best of the situation. However, things didn't exactly go according to plan. Susanoo was loud and boisterous, and he quickly began to annoy Amaterasu. He made rude comments and jokes about her appearance and her home, and generally just made her feel uncomfortable. And when she tried to tell him to knock it off, he just laughed in her face. This continued until finally Amaterasu had had enough. She confronted her brother and told him that if he didn't stop, she would banish him from her home. Of course, Susanoo just laughed and thought that she was bluffing, so he kept it up until finally she had had enough. She stood up and cast her brother out of her home. Now, usually, Amaterasu wouldn't have minded if her brother just went off into the forest or something. After all, she knew that he could be dangerous, and she didn't want him near her home. But Susanoo didn't do that. Instead, he stomped his feet and roared so loudly that a great earthquake shook the earth. And then he began to summon a great storm. It rained so hard that the rivers overflowed and the mountains were washed away. The wind was so strong that trees were uprooted and houses were destroyed. And the lightning and thunder was so loud and so close that people thought the sky was falling. In the middle of all this chaos, Amaterasu was terrified. He hid in a cave with all the other gods, pulling a giant rock in front of the entrance to keep out the rain. They sat there, huddled together in the dark, listening to the wind and the rain, hoping that it would all blow over soon. But as the hours passed and the storm showed no signs of abating, their hope began to dwindle. After what seemed like an eternity, the storm finally began to die down. The rain slowed to a trickle, and the wind was no longer heard above the sound of the rushing water. When the gods heard this, they were overjoyed. Finally, they could come out of their hiding place and see the damage that had been done. But when they pulled the rock away and stepped out into the daylight, they gasped in horror. The world was plunged into darkness. Not just a little darkness, but total, complete darkness. The sky was overcast, and not a single ray of light could be seen. In the distance, they could hear the sound of waves crashing, but they couldn't see the sea. All they saw was darkness. The gods were panicked. What had happened? Where was the light gone? Without the light, the world as they knew it would cease to exist. People would die. Animals would die. Plants would die. Everything would die. They had to get the light back. But how? They sent messengers out into the darkness to search for Amaterasu, but they couldn't find her anywhere. Had she been killed in the storm? Was that why the light was gone? The gods were starting to lose hope when one of them came up with an idea. They would build a shrine at the entrance of the cave where Amaterasu had been hiding, and they would place a mirror inside it. If Amaterasu saw her reflection, she would know that it was time to return to her people and bring back the light. So the gods got to work. They built the shrine and placed the mirror inside it. Then they all stood around it and began to chant and dance. At first, nothing happened. The mirror remained dark and the world remained in darkness. But then something miraculous occurred. The gods were so caught up in their chanting and dancing that they began to laugh. Their laughter echoed through the darkness, and it reached all the way to the cave where Amaterasu was hiding. She couldn't help but smile. Her brother and the other gods were laughing and having fun without her. She missed them, and she missed the light that she brought to the world every day. She had been hiding in the cave for so long that she had forgotten what it was like to see the sun or the stars. Curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to go to the entrance of the cave to see what was going on. She got to the opening. She saw the shrine and the mirror, and she saw the other gods laughing and playing. She wanted to join in on the fun, but she hesitated. What if they didn't want her to come back? What if they were better off without her? Just as she was about to turn back and go back into the cave, she saw her reflection in the mirror, and it was then that she realized that she was needed. She had been hiding for so long that she had forgotten who she was. She was Amaterasu, the sun goddess. She was the bringer of light and warmth to the world. And now the world was in darkness because of her. She couldn't bear the thought of all the suffering that it happened because of her actions. So she took a deep breath and stepped out of the cave. As soon as she did, the world was bathed in sunlight. The sky was clear and the birds were singing. The flowers were blooming and the animals were coming out of their hiding places. People emerged from their homes, blinking in the bright sunlight, not knowing that it had been so dark just moments before. Amaterasu was greeted by cheers and applause. The gods and the humans alike were overjoyed to have their son goddess back. Kia, she had brought light and warmth back to the world, and for that, they were eternally grateful. From that day forward, Amaterasu never forgot the importance of balance. She knew that even the smallest of actions could have far-reaching consequences, and she vowed to always be careful in her dealings. She also learned that even the most powerful of beings need help sometimes, and that it's okay to ask for help when times are tough. And most importantly, she learned that laughter is the best medicine. So, what does this story mean for us today? Well, I think that it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. We just need to keep our heads up and our spirits high. I also think that it's a reminder to always be careful in our dealings, no matter how small they may seem. And finally, I think it's a reminder to never forget the importance of laughter. Laughter is the best medicine, so make sure to laugh often and often. So that was our episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you got something out of it. If you did, please hit the like button. It tells me that you want to see more content like this. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. So that way you won't miss any new videos. Thank you so much for watching. So take care and peace out. This is episode 6 of Legends of the Eternal Flame. This series explores mythologies from around the world, retelling ancient myths and legends with modern sensibilities and cinematic intensity. In this episode, we dive into Aztec mythology and folklore from Mexico. Our story today is the tale of Quetzalcoatl's return. Our story begins with Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god who rules over the city of Tula with wisdom and power. But his greatest enemy, the Lord of the Evening Star, Tezcatlipoca, plots against him. Using his sorcery, Tezcatlipoca transforms Quetzalcoatl's heart into the heart of a hummingbird, tricking him into drinking his own heart. And so, the great Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god, becomes a mere mortal. In disguise, Tezcatlipoca then challenges Quetzalcoatl to a drinking contest, which he easily wins. Humiliated and disgraced, Quetzalcoatl flees his city, stumbling into the forest. There, after many years, he comes across a lake where he bathes himself in the sacred waters of life, restoring himself to his true form. Before leaving, he makes one final prophecy. One day, when the people see his return, they will build him a great temple and make him king over all of the other gods. With that, Quetzalcoatl sets himself on fire and flies away, transforming into the morning star. Centuries later, when Spanish ships arrived in the New World, the Aztecs mistook them for the return of the morning star and the fulfillment of the prophecy. They had come to make Quetzalcoatl their king. They welcomed the Spanish with open arms, giving them everything they asked for, not realizing that they were actually bringing about the destruction of their civilization and the death of their people. And so, the tale of the feathered serpent god was forever twisted. The prophecy of his return used against the very people he had meant to protect. This has been episode 6 of Legends of the Eternal Flame. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about mythology and folklore from around the world, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got 5 more episodes of mythology and folklore coming your way. And don't forget to leave us a comment below. Let us know what you thought of the episode and which mythology or legend you would like to see next. In our last episode, we told the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. And in our next episode, we will be telling the Greek myth of Pandora's box. So be sure to stay tuned. For those of you who have already subscribed, thank you so much for your support. We are so grateful to be able to bring these stories to life for you and to share them with the world. Your support really does mean the world to us. So without further ado, let's get started. In the beginning, there was only the ocean, an endless abyss of darkness and water stretching as far as one could imagine. Then, from the depths of the ocean, a giant emerged. His name was Tiamat, and he was the embodiment of chaos and darkness. From the depths of his being, he created the first gods. These gods were powerful, but they were also wild and untamed, just like their father. They roamed the earth, causing destruction and despair wherever they went. But Tiamat grew tired of their destructive ways. He wanted order and balance in the world. So he set out to create a new god who would be the opposite of his sons, a god of light and order. And so he gathered the wisdom of the oldest monsters and demons, drawing upon their power and knowledge, and created Marduk, the god of wisdom and order. Marduk was unlike any god that had come before him. He was cunning and strategic, patient and calculating. He knew that he couldn't defeat his father's army head-on, so he devised a plan. He approached Tiamat with an offering, a goblet filled with the blood of the first man and woman. And as Tiamat drank from the cup, Marduk struck him down. With his father defeated, Marduk set about creating the world as he knew it should be. He separated the land from the sea. He created the sun and the moon, and he established the order of the cosmos. And then he turned his attention to the other gods, giving them specific tasks and duties, assigning them to different parts of the world. And so the world was created, but it didn't take long for the old ways to return. The gods forgot their duties and once again brought chaos and destruction to the world. Once again, Marduk had to step in and restore order. He punished the gods who had strayed from their duties and reaffirmed the balance of the cosmos. But Marduk knew that this wouldn't be the last time the gods would cause destruction. And so he made a final stand, a stand against the gods themselves. He proclaimed that if they ever forgot their duties again, he would destroy them all and start anew. And with that, the gods fell silent, each one falling into line and doing their duty as they had been told. For a time, the world was in balance and harmony, but it didn't last forever. This has been episode 6 of Legends of the Eternal Flame. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about mythology and folklore from around the world, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got 5 more episodes of mythology and folklore coming your way, and don't forget to leave us a comment below. Let us know what you thought of the episode and which mythology or legend you would like to see next. In our last episode, we told the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and in our next episode, we will be telling the Greek myth of Pandora's box, so be sure to stay tuned. For those of you who have already subscribed, thank you so much for your support. We are so grateful to be able to bring these stories to life for you and to share them with the world. Your support really does mean the world to us. Now, while it may seem that we've reached the end of this particular story, the truth is that the journey of the gods never truly ends. Like ripples in a pond, their actions continue to spread outwards, affecting the world and the lives of mortals forever. In the case of Marduk, his victory over Tiamat and the establishment of cosmic order is a moment of great triumph. It's a testament to his wisdom, his patience, and his ability to think strategically. However, the fact that he felt the need to remind the gods of their duties, even after his great victory, suggests that the struggle between order and chaos is never truly over. It is a battle that must be fought again and again, not just in the realm of the gods, but in the hearts and minds of every mortal who strives to bring order to their life and overcome the chaos of the world around them. Moreover, Marduk's final stand against the gods serves as a reminder that even the most powerful of beings are not immune to the consequences of their actions. It is a lesson that we can all learn from, no matter how great or small we may be. For just as the gods are capable of both great good and great evil, so too are we. It is up to us to choose which path we will follow and to strive to bring order and balance to our own lives and to the world around us. Thank you for watching.